Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're here with comic Tiffany Firebaugh. Tiffany Firebaugh, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, good. And real quick, if people want to see you on stage do stand-up in New York City, where they do that, where do they find you online, and where do they see your sketch troupe play next?
Sure. So I'm at tiffanyfirebaugh.com. My Twitter is tiff_Firebaugh.
And there's a couple of them.
Ooh,
Like
really?
there's another one who was a master's in public health
that
or
would be
something.
me as well.
Oh, are you both? Are you
Yeah.
both? Because I was like, there's this
I am
person.
both.
She is Tiffany Firebaugh is so popular as a comic that this master's of public health person is referring everybody to her. They're like, if you want the comedy one, she's over there. And so you're both. Oh no, I
That would
outed
be
you.
so
Is that
funny.
fine?
That's totally fine.
Okay.
It would be really funny if that other Tiffany was like, good Lord, just go over there for the funny stuff. No, they're both me. I had trouble. I had put them all in one, and then I realized my feed was just kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'll just separate them.
Okay, so I hope I didn't out you. You don't need to edit this out or start over.
No,
Okay. So
you
yeah, tell us. And then you have a sketch comedy team that. There's something called Boogie Manja,
Correct.
and is that, and then within that there's a say it for me.
It's Illuminati.
Illuminati. Now, how do the two relate? I mean, like, is one a company and one is a team?
Yeah, so Boogie
Okay.
Manja is a sketch collective.
Okay.
And then there's 8 teams that are part of that, and you have to apply to be, accepted in those things. And then they put you on different teams. So my team is actually the only team that got to stay together from last year. So
And why is that? Because you guys are so
we
good?
love each other so much.
Oh, no.
I want to believe that that's why, but we work really well together, and we're constantly blowing up a group chat. So
And so are you only writing for that, or are you also performing?
so I also perform. I do
Okay.
stand up.
I mean, do you also perform on that sketch team?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
I
you're-
mean, this month I did because we wrote too many characters and writers had to
Oh, good.
step in. But yeah,
And then where is that at the Pit? Where?
it is at the Pit. Yeah,
Okay.
once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah.
And so you are crazily writing all month long, and then you write for a week or two, and then you practice for a week or two?
Yeah, so we have a pitch, 3 writers meetings, 3 rehearsals, a tech, and then show.
And it's not recorded in any sense. So like people are coming there and they're seeing the one-time performance of something magical.
It is definitely magical. We do record it.
Oh, good.
So
Is that
yeah,
online somewhere? Like,
It
are
is.
they all on YouTube?
They are on YouTube, and they're also, if you want to see my particular sketches, they're also on my website.
Yeah,
So.
just clip the good ones and put them on tiffanyfirebaugh.com.
Yes.
Okay. And then today we're talking about, and we'll work it into your stand-up because you're doing stand-up too. Do you have upcoming
do
dates for
stand-up.
stand-up?
Right now, I'm just kind of doing open mics, and
Okay.
then sometimes my friends' shows, but right now, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about some serious topics. We're going to talk about fear and doubt and earnestness and how adult friendship is just showing up. And these are topics that I'm taking these words right out of your mouth because I think they're wonderful. And then what's your interest in them, and are they informing your writing for either sketch or stand-up?
Yes. So I describe my style as full tilt earnestness with high emotional stakes.
Oh, so you really, like, you're on stage and you're just, you are being super sincere and intense, and you're not trying to be what I would think most comics are doing the opposite. At open mics, the dudes get up there at the open mics and they're pretending like they don't care about anything at all. So you're going the other way entirely, and that's hilarious.
Well, thankfully, I do know some really good dudes who are also earnest. But yeah, I mean, I am trying to just be myself up there, and that comes through in my writing of sketches too. It's just I'm not capable of the sarcastic side of things. I'm just going to be earnest. So that's all I can bring to the table is who I am.
And now, why is that funny? Because certain people, meaning like
Sure.
the character in a sketch who is super serious and super earnest, is the joke always on him or her?
No, I think it's more about finding the place where we all connect with that earnestness. So one of my sketches is called like hair tie on its deathbed. So
Okay.
it's like the thing that goes in women's hair. But like women understand that like sometimes your favorite hair tie is too stretched out or it starts to break, and so we have this emotional moment between the hair tie who's just like, go on without me, I'll break on the 4th twist, and then the woman who's like grieving the end of this relationship.
So I mean, it's actually, so you're being honest about the fact that women bizarrely, or certain women bizarrely, have a certain real close relationship with their hair tie.
Yeah.
So it's sincere and earnest in that respect, but then
Right.
it's totally absurd because you're also nobody would ever go that far. So is it just kind of hyperbole?
Heightened.
So
Yeah,
so
a
it's
bit
heightened, and
heightened.
so that like you said, you up the emotional stakes and you take it as far as it will go.
But then it starts in a really earnest core. Of
Okay, is
just
this
being
like Pee Wee Herman, like marrying his breakfast cereal or something like that? Like, why don't if you love so much, why don't you marry it? And so you take it that far.
But like earnestly, let's do it. Let's marry it.
And so how is that making its way into kind of like what are your jokes about? Are they about are they autobiographical, or are they about your personal life and things you're going through?
So my stand-up and my sketch right now are a little bit different flavors.
Yeah, how do they differ?
Yeah. So
I was wondering.
my stand-up right now is a little bit more autobiographical.
Okay.
So it's like I grew up as a cheerleader and as an evangelical in Texas. So the two just kind of made me very confused about what to do with my body.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of like exploring that and like what did that mean for me, and just telling that story and finding the moments of humor there. And then my sketch is more about like the moments that we can all relate to.
Okay, because we can't all relate. Although I've seen the show Cheer.
Yes, oh my
I can't,
goodness.
which is
Oh
about
my
a cheer
goodness.
program in Texas. Like
Yeah.
I not everybody has. And first of
Yeah.
all, what did you think about that show?
I couldn't watch it.
Why? Yeah, so was it too
was-
close to home? Were you that serious about cheerleading where you guys were
Yeah.
throwing each other around and all that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I quit cheerleading early, but because of an accident I witnessed and all that thing. But I had like a six-pack in elementary school. Like it was very intense. Cheer is not a sport for the lighthearted, for sure.
Yeah, and
would
so
think.
you couldn't watch it because it was too painful to watch. It brought back the memory.
Honestly, yeah. Gonna be honest, yeah. It was too much.
And so how do you kind of and where did you get as serious about it? I guess you had the six pack in elementary school, which is just bizarre. Yeah, it's a little troubling. But did you bring any of that competitive stuff into kind of crafting an act? Like, do you go up as much as you should, and like, do like are you still a competitive person, or were you even back then? I know you had the six pack. That says a lot.
So competitive.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I played volleyball too when I got
Okay.
older, and so I was recruited for college. Got hurt very early. Tragedy. Blah blah
Wow.
blah. But I am definitely a competitive person and the perfectionist. One of the reasons I did improv when I did it was to fail, to be really good at failing, and to put myself in a position that was very vulnerable.
And did that happen, or did you end up being did you end up being like, I wrote that sketch a certain way and the actor massacred it?
Oh, no. I
Okay.
mean, every time so that was improv, but when I put a sketch together and an actor
right.
takes it, I am so grateful because they always take it to another level I never saw.
Okay.
And I love it when actors take my sketches, yeah. But in general, like, still when you put up a live show or when you go up for stand-up, there's always a chance, like, that it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
And you have to weather that with grace, I think. So
And is stand-up harder than sketch? Because I suppose writing for sketch, I enjoy podcasting, but I don't necessarily enjoy going up every night because it could go so fucking poorly.
Yeah, it can.
And if you're totally prepared, like my body, like I was really good in front of people in moot court in law school, like we did really well in competitions, but my stomach would always fuck up, and that's because my nerves were on point.
yeah.
Such that I was ready for anything. Like I had a friend who went up there and he didn't have nerves until he got out there. And I'm like, and that's why I fucked up, because it's like, no, you have to be ready for anything going in. And so that's why I prefer just podcasting, because it's just talking rather than going up every night on stage. So, I prefer writing. I prefer podcasting. Is there anything about writing for sketch that is far preferred to doing stand-up? Like do you find yourself loving writing for sketch so much because it's so easy for you, and you don't find yourself going up as much on stage?
So I'm pretty new to stand-up. I've been doing it since like December.
Okay.
And I really love it the moment that I'm doing it, but the whole lead up, it kind of ruins my whole day.
It ruins the fucking day,
It
right?
does. I get so nervous when I did, and I love sketch for the team element of it. It's very fun to be in a writer's room and to watch people take things and heighten them to a different level you didn't see before. But yeah, I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say earlier.
So so it really does wreck you the day of, just like me.
It does.
But then you're ready for anything, and when it goes well, it's great.
Yeah, and you know what? When it doesn't, it's hilarious. I genuinely find it so funny.
Right.
Because it's just, I had a really, really bad set in Texas. I was like, let's try this on the road, whatever, because I was going home for a holiday, and it went so poorly. I mean, the setup, everything about it was going to go wrong no matter how good I was. Like, it was 50 people signed up for an open mic. They allowed every single person to go.
Oh,
they did it by
no.
seniority. I was the third person to write my name, but I went in the fourth. So 40 people in.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and so it was like 2 a.m. There was like 3 people there.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go well. And I went home and I laughed so hard. I was like, this is maybe one of the funniest things that's happened.
That's funny. I also think you said, I thought you said I left so hard, which is funny.
Yeah, I went home
really
hard.
I went home to Texas, but I left so fucking hard. And do you find yourself, like, because you're talking about autobiographical stuff on stage in New York City, you probably can say certain things about Texas that you can't say while you're in Texas.
Well, it's fascinating because I realized when I was there, the reason it wasn't working was because comedy is subverting expectations. And so when I was in Texas, I was giving them what they already expected.
Yeah.
So everything I was explaining, they were like, yes, 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 obviously.
It's like, go on. Yeah, this is
Where's
TED
the joke? And so, yeah, in New York, there's an element of surprise of, like, what my upbringing is. So it's something I need to, like, work on and fine-tune if I bring it on the road.
So that evangelical stuff, I think, and you said evangelical stuff in cheerleading with respect to you didn't know how to kind of view your own body or whatever. Are you talking about some of that on stage? Because we had Davidson Boswell on here, and I think he might have talked about, like, he's talking about some of his evangelical upbringing on stage. Like, so what are you talking about on stage with respect to that? Because it's probably, I mean, it's fascinating to hear about, like, people, because I have a bizarre, like, I also was raised Christian, and I'm super Christian still, and a bunch of Lutheran pastors in my family, where it's like, my mom was hardcore about that, about what to do and what not to do before marriage and stuff. Like, do you get into any of that stuff on stage?
I do. I'm not an evangelical anymore, but I am still Christian, and so I feel like I can approach it from a kind place of just being like, I understand where this is coming from, and I was one of these people at this one point. But I talk about, like, the expectations around skirt length, and even, like, as a school uniform, like, to my knees, and then when I was a cheerleader, much, much shorter, you know?
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Or just, like, you shouldn't move your body seductively, and then I'm, like, a competitive cheerleader in Texas, where I'm, like, leaning over and going, come on, Barbie, let's go party, and, like, you know, moving my body. And my first cheer when I was 3 was jump, shake your booty. So, you know, it's just like, it was just completely wildly different expectations.
And so kind of what did you figure out, like, you know, in person, you know, in your normal life and also on stage, what have you kind of reconciled about those differences in your upbringing? Like, did you find out that there's, you know, it's, you know, I guess you're forgiving, like you said, of the evangelical upbringing. You're like, well, they tried to teach us this for a certain reason so that we wouldn't go out and be only sex objects. Yeah. And we know why the cheerleaders did that, because that was what pop culture was. That's the music that you guys recorded and spliced up for the routine. That was kind of, that's just because pop music was that way. Kind of what is your approach now? What's the healthy outlook on it?
Oh, what's the healthy outlook?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the healthy outlook for myself here. And so if I ever have anybody who has, like, a, you know, who's doing stand-up comedy in New York City, which is very, you know, bold and ballsy, who had an evangelical upbringing a certain way, it's like, how the fuck do you view, how do you view sexuality healthfully?
Boy, you know, I'm probably still working that out. Okay. But I don't know. I think I just, I approach it probably differently than the majority of people in New York, but then I also approach it differently than my upbringing.
Everybody in Texas.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of this little oddball, just doing my best. You know, I think it comes back to full tilt earnestness, high emotional stakes. Yeah,
and that's why you find yourself, like, doing sketches about hair tie, and things like that with Boogie Manja, and it's Illuminati.
Correct.
And then what's the play on words there? I know Illuminati is, but what's Illuminati?
So it's like thought. And actually...
Okay, putting the word thought in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I'm just so dense on those things. Like, somebody was like, casual sets. And I was like, what are the sets casual? And I was like, oh, it's a play on casual sex. I didn't know that till weeks later. So I'm just so daft on the double meaning. But you guys are the only team who stayed together. So you guys really have some good chemistry. And your next show is?
March Let me check. I wrote it down.
And you can find these things via tiffanyfirebaugh.com. And there's a couple Tiffany Firebaughs on Twitter. And she's both of them, but follow the comedy one.
Yeah, it's March 27th, just so we get that out
March
there.
27th, and it's at the Pit.
Stryker,
Okay.
yeah.
Is a Stryker stage?
Yes.
What are the different stages there?
So there's there's a basement stage, and then there's a loft stage, and then there's Stryker, and then there's an attic.
Stryker's the best one?
Stryker is a very big
estate?
one.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Stryker a lot. I mean, each of them have their own benefits and pros and cons. But Stryker holds, I think, the most for all of the Pit stages. They hold the most audience, so that's
that means
fun.
you guys are kick-ass. And so, but really, the only things that matter are either showing up on March 27th,
yes,
or checking out your clips on tiffanyfirebaugh.com.
That's
and can they see the
correct.
hair tie one there?
They can see the hair tie
They
one
can.
there.
So that's the reason we're all going to
First
go to tiffanyfirebaugh.com.
Yes,
Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thanks so much.